Thank you very much.
Mayor, would you like me to sit?
At this time, if you can kindly sit aside and let Attorney Pizzi address some of those allegations that were brought up in that report.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a privilege to be in front of all of you. I know you're all working very hard, and I'm sure everyone wants to keep an open mind and do what's right by the citizens tonight. Let me start off with a couple of things. You know, the worst thing you could ever do is rush to judgment. I think this report was issued a couple of days ago. Was it on Monday? I mean, the report came out on Monday. The report is not, to my knowledge, it's not on the city's website. It's not available to the public. The citizens, to my knowledge, don't have an opportunity to make their own conclusions. But I want to note a couple of things. I would be very concerned if I was sitting up there as a fact finder, just based upon the fact that perhaps the most stunning allegation, the most damning allegation that slandered her reputation has been admitted to be completely false. It's a lie. I want to read something to you in a document. Public document will follow Pam Latimore for the rest of her life. And it was submitted by the people who were asking you to accept their credibility and make a determination to take away someone's career and reputation based upon what they're saying. I'm going to look at page 20 of the report. And page 20 of the report says, he was unable to locate 2 emails on Latimore's computer as Latimore's inbox was completely empty and all emails had been hard deleted. Now, I want to, if you go to the bottom of page 20, I want to read a footnote that's now going to follow Pam for the rest of her life and was used as one of the bases to suggest that she did something wrong. This is in the report being submitted to the city by Weiss, Helfman, and Sirota and the person they retain. Footnote 27, quote from the report. Stone commented that finding all emails hard deleted is unusual and could be construed to be a deliberate act. In his experience, he has found this is done when someone has something to cover up. So this firm and this expert, they accused her publicly as the city clerk for your city with an impeccable reputation of hard deleting emails from the system as part of a, quote, cover-up, end quote. And now, they tell you in this document tonight that after consulting with the vendors of the forensic software, Capstom concludes that emails were not deleted. She did not delete any emails. You can't rush to judgment on these things. This is her reputation, her family's reputation. How could you give this report any credibility? Maybe there's a lot of other mistakes in the report. Maybe tomorrow they're going to find that other allegations are wrong. Maybe tomorrow they're going to send an update after you make your decision tonight. After you make your decision, maybe tomorrow they'll send you another report saying, oh, by the way, we have a new report and everything was wrong in this report. We found new statements and some of the stuff in the report was not correct. So if I'm up there, the fact that they gave you a report telling you to make a decision, accusing the city clerk of hard deleting emails in her system and ask you to rely on that, and then now a report that's not available to the public, and now minutes before the meeting, seconds before the meeting, right before you're going to make your decision, they hand you a report saying, oh, by the way, we know we told you We know we told you in this report in footnote 27, we think she was deleting emails. She was trying to cover something up. And now they tell you, you know what? That's a lie. That's a lie. And you're still going to go forward with this. After they've just told you that one of the most damning things they've said about her, they admit is not true. And now you're going to go forward with the meeting. Maybe everything else in the report's not going to be true. Second of all, the expert stated she lied and said there was a resolution setting forth this policy. Just like a minute ago, remember? She said she lied and told you there was a resolution setting forth this policy. Email dated February 19, 2019, 11:34 a.m. from Pamela Latimore, the city clerk, to the city manager, the city attorney, and the commissioner. Quote, there is no resolution. It's a policy I follow, a guideline. Another lie. They say that she claimed there was a resolution, but there's an email from her explicitly stating she never said there was a resolution. She said there was just this guideline that she was relying upon. And this was the email dated February 19, 2019 at 11:34 a.m. You know, what's happening in this report, and I'll tell you what it is that all of the allegations are really manufactured. This is not a report. It's a smear campaign and an assassination, because what it does is the following. Let me give an example. They say things like, well, she said she wrote this email on February 9th, 2014 at 2 p.m. But the reality was we hired a national forensic examiner, and the email was really written on February 15th at 9 a.m. Who would remember something like that? It's a gotcha game. It's a gotcha game. And then they say if that's the worst you're going to say, if you're going to accuse her of misconduct because she can't remember the specific time and date among the 50,000 emails she's read in the past 8 or 9 years, that there's a difference in recollection between who suggested the key policy, or there's a difference in recollection between whether an email was sent or something was written on February 5th or March 1st. I mean, who cares? Those are just minor things. Those are just minor, insignificant things that nobody would care about. And here's my other problem. Has anyone else been targeted like this in the city? Have you gone to any other employee, maybe in the history of the city, on a single report they did? I will tell you something. I just submitted a memo to a court. I revised it a few times. Man, if you asked me tonight when I did it, did you write it? And I said, well, I think I did it on Thursday at 2 o'clock and filed it. And then you hired a forensic examiner to come here and check the data files on my computer and interviewed everybody in my office. And after spending $100,000, determined that I filed the memo on Wednesday instead of Thursday. And then what are you going to do, call me a liar, get me disbarred? I mean, that's ridiculous. That's absurd. So you've taken these really... Imagine telling one of your children, when did you do the book report? Well, I think I did it last month, and I think I got the information from Wikipedia or somewhere else. Well, I guess if you spent a month doing interviews and examining his computer, you may find out that he edited the report 4 times instead of 5 times. But, I don't think anybody would give a lot of significance to that. So the point I'm making seriously, Mr. Mayor, is that a lot of this stuff is really mincing. It's just ridiculous, absurd, minor, subtle distinctions that are thrown together at great expense by talented people to try and give a false impression that you did something wrong, Because there's no evidence you did anything wrong. If there was any evidence you did anything wrong, I think it would have been presented. So, a couple of things, points I want to make. You know, in the end of the day, the one thing we have left is our reputation and our family's reputation. That's more important than anything. And Pam is standing up for herself tonight because no matter what happens, she wants to go home and have her reputation intact. Here are the facts that are pretty uncontroverted, in my opinion, respectfully. And I ask you to step back and look at the forest from the trees. Let's forget about the minor he said, she says. Was the report edited 4 times instead of 5 times? Who set the policy? Who didn't set the policy? Let's look at the forest from the trees. And the following facts are uncontroverted and not in dispute. These facts cannot be disputed. She's a great city clerk, maybe the best in the state, with no misconduct, impeccable reputation and integrity, and an unblemished record. Your city clerk's been here for 8 years. There's no allegation she has not prepared the agendas. I mean, her job as city clerk is what? Prepare the agendas, process public records requests, be the supervisor of elections. No one has ever suggested in the past 8 years that she has not done all of those core duties. The agenda gets out, she does a great job. The public records are processed. She does a great job as supervisor of elections. She does a great job as she does a great job at assisting the public. Why is she here? Why is she getting paid? Is she getting paid to assuage people, or is she getting paid to do a job for the public under the charter? If you look at this entire report, 40 pages, there is not one. I defy you to go through this report and find one word that says she did not fulfill her core responsibilities as clerk and did an outstanding job. I defy you to find one page in this report that says that the taxpayers have not been served by her, which is why she's here. You serve the public. She serves the public. Where in this report is there one sentence saying she did not process a public records request? That she did not prepare the agenda? That she did not do her job as supervisor of elections, preserving democracy in the city? The answer is it's uncontroverted that she has done a great job doing all those things. And that's why in 2017 you passed a resolution and the resolution said that this was passed unanimously by the commission. In consideration and recognition of the city clerk's exemplary performance and achievements. You've never passed a resolution since then saying anything different. Your city clerk is admired statewide. She was elected president of the Statewide Clerks Association. The city clerks in every other city look to Pam Latimore as their role model for integrity, for honor, and for doing a great job. So now the question becomes the following. If no one is suggesting in this report, and no one has ever suggested in an agenda item or a resolution, that she has not done a fantastic job and is not one of the best clerks in the country, and no one contests the fact that the people love her and she serves the public, if no one's contesting that, why are we here tonight? Why are we here tonight? Because there was a miscommunication about who gets a key to the city? So are you going to tell the taxpayers of North Miami Beach, are you going to tell the taxpayers of North Miami Beach tonight that supervising the elections, preparing the agendas, and serving the public and being the best clerk in the state is not it doesn't matter. If she didn't make sure the right person got an honorary proclamation, she's fired. You're going to take away the best clerk in the state from your taxpayers because of some confusion and miscommunication about who got a key to the city? You're going to hire somebody from Washington and a law firm to do an investigation and hire forensic people that are usually used in an espionage or murder case? You're going to hire them to come here at taxpayer expense to see whether or not she added a comma on one date as opposed to 2 minutes later? Do you think anybody in the public cares about that? Do you think they care about getting their public records request processed? Do you think they care about preserving democracy and having an election supervisor with integrity? Or do you think they care about who got the key to the city? And think about it for a second. That's all this is about. Nothing else. And I want to make another point that's uncontroverted. Instead of hiring a special prosecutor in Washington to come down, or a special counsel in Washington to come down and do a report, an outside counsel, instead of doing that, there was an easy solution if there was some communication about this. All somebody had to do was make a motion on the dais. I make a motion to give a key to the city to whoever you want to give it to. 4 people support it. The mayor supports it. And it's done. If somebody did not like the way she was processing or if someone did not like her involvement in giving out keys to the city, if someone did not like her involvement in that and thought that this should have been something approved by the city, how is it her fault that the city never passed a resolution in that regard? She asked them to. The city manager did. But more importantly, if anybody had a concern, all they had to do was say, you know what? I don't know why the city clerk's involved in this. Nothing prevented anybody from saying, you know what? I think it's wrong the way she's dealing with this. I don't recall voting on this. You know what? I'm sponsoring an agenda item at the next meeting. And here's the policy. Instead of doing this investigation and having 3 special call meetings, how about taking 1 minute and passing a policy and giving her direction and telling her this is the way we want to do it? End of story. So the question is, why wasn't that done? The second other point I want to make is that, and it's in this report, nowhere in this report does it say anywhere that she was insubordinate and refused to follow the direction of the city commission. Meaning she at all times said, look, if you want me to do it differently, if you want me to process the key to the city differently, or don't want me to be involved at all, put an item on the agenda, vote for it, and I'll do whatever you ask me to do. So she has always, nowhere in this report does it say that the commission took a vote and directed her to do it a certain way, and she just disregarded that. If there was an issue, whether it's with the city clerk or the manager or the city attorney, the mayor and 3 votes or 4 votes, 4 of you rule. If anybody doesn't like the way, if the city manager has a policy in the Parks Department where he's cutting the grass 3 times a week instead of 2 times a week, and you don't like that, okay, agenda item. I vote that we terminate the landscape contractor. I vote that we direct the manager to overhaul how he's cutting the grass. If you want the city attorneys to assign somebody to City Hall, you just put it on the agenda, take a vote. So at all times you could have given direction to her. So I don't think it's fair. There's an old saying, no good deed goes unpunished. You're going You're going to learn this. No good deed goes unpunished. You're going to learn that as public servants. Trust me. So what I would say is, I'm sure you've learned that a long time ago, but what I would say is that, do you think she cares? Do you think she wants, of all the things she has to do, you think she wants to control who gets a key to the city? Great. Put that responsibility in the manager's office. Give it to somebody else. Do her a favor. Do her a favor. So here it is. You know, she took responsibility for helping out to coordinate the key to the city and the proclamation issues. And now, you know, this is coming up. But the reality is, what I would recommend you do tonight is the following. I would recommend you do tonight that you simply vote and set a policy for giving out keys to the city and give her direction and tell her you have to do what we say. So if this is such a major topic, who gets a key to the city? I know there are issues like, you know, the budget and police and parks and hurricane preparation and things that might warrant a special meeting. But what I would say is, if the issue is the key to the city, I would ask you, instead of destroying her life and reputation, she doesn't deserve it, simply someone make a motion and say, going forward, this is how we're going to process keys to the city, and give her direction and she'll follow it. Just a couple of points, because I know you have a lot to do. If you look at some of the, number one, about the computer issue, I want to address that. You know, when I first heard that somebody was seizing the city clerk's computer, having been in government for a lot of time, that would scare the heck out of me. The city clerk at times had information about confidential informants that they stored. Sometimes information from the police on CIs is stored in computers. Information on grand jury subpoenas or confidential investigations. Someone might be under investigation for election issues or whatever it is. The clerk will get a request for records. That goes into the computer. When personnel files are requested, the clerk has, if you don't want to get sued under HIPAA, the clerk has to vet them and make sure the Social Security numbers are deleted. That's not disclosed. So the clerk plays an important responsibility. She is the safeguard of the people's records in this city. She's the safeguard of the people's information. She's also the person who's responsible for making sure confidential information, which is illegal to get out and could result in lawsuits, that doesn't get out. She's responsible for maintaining the confidentiality of records that are supposed to be confidential. Now, if the clerk got a call and said, somebody's in my office and they're taking my computer, if she did not, on behalf of you and on behalf of the people whose records she preserves and on behalf of investigative agencies, if she did not say, wait a minute, I got to talk to the manager, I got to talk to the attorney, I got to find out what's going on here, that would have been wrong. If she would have allowed someone to just take her computer without her making sure it was appropriate, you know what would happen? She'd be back here, and somebody would say, we should fire her for letting people take her computer without even safeguarding it, without safeguarding the records or making sure that it's appropriate. So if your city clerk got a phone call saying they're going to take her computer, and she wanted to make sure that was okay and the records were safeguarded, well, God bless her. Thank God you have a city clerk who was smart enough to do that. And taking an extra day or a couple of hours to make sure she vetted it and nothing wrong was being done, wouldn't that be prudent? Wouldn't you want the city clerk to do that? The other thing is that, why were they seizing a clerk? I never heard of the police or people going into a clerk's office and seizing somebody's computer. You know, they according to the records I read, they went to her office twice. They downloaded her hard drive. She was cooperative. I mean, how many times was she supposed to let them come in and download her hard drive? She was cooperative. They did that. And eventually they did take the computer. So to suggest that she violated some policy, because after they downloaded her hard drive twice, and after she made a couple of calls to make sure it was okay to give up her computer, I think that's commendable. I think that's the way you want her to act. Finally, I think that if you look at the statements of the two mayors, on page 10 of the report, Mayor Vallejo page 15. On page 15, Mayor Vallejo said, quote, and understand something, under your charter, the mayor is the ceremonial head of government. In every city, the mayor plays a critical role in keys to the city and proclamations, things of that sort. So if anybody has a special role in giving out keys to the city or proclamations, it's the mayor. Why? Because your charter gives him that authority as the ceremonial head of government. And what did Mayor Vallejo say? He said, because he felt too many proclamations were being awarded and it was taking up too much time during the commission meeting, around 2016, he met with the city attorney, the city manager, and the city clerk. Mayor Vallejo said he met with the city clerk, Pamela, to set up procedures and a policy and a process for dealing with, these ceremonial proclamations key to the city. So Mayor Vallejo said that he met with Pam and gave direction to come up with policies and procedures regarding things like proclamations and key to the city. That's what he said. If you look at Mayor DeFillipo provided a statement. So now you have one mayor who was the ceremonial head of government, who met with the clerk to get her involvement in ideas. And he also said he went back and forth and put it on the agenda. But you know what? After he met with her about developing a policy, it wasn't Pam's fault that the mayor and nobody else passed a resolution and set forth a formal policy. I mean, how horrible is it? Think about this for a second. Mayor Vallejo goes to her in 2016 and asks her to work on a policy regarding these proclamations and keys to the city, right? The commission never passes a resolution because it got pulled from the agenda. And now we're going to fire her because she took on that added responsibility? We're going to fire her because she took on a responsibility because she was asked to do so? And then we're going to go back and say, well, do you have it in a memo? Did he say that? Was he tape recorded saying that? Did he say it in email? Did he give you direction as to exactly what the policy was? No. He asked her to develop some policies and procedures. And being a good public servant, she could have said, that's not my job. Maybe she should have. Hindsight's 20/20. But maybe, but that's not her. What did she say? Yes, Mayor Vallejo, I'd be happy to help out in the clerk's office and help you deal with this issue. Mayor DeFillipo's declaration. Under oath. By the way, Mayor DeFillipo was submitted an under oath under penalty of perjury. The policy in North Miami Beach has always been for the city clerk to handle requests for keys to the city and coordinate these matters with the office of the mayor.
Counsel, can you repeat that? One of my commissioners is asking if you could kind of repeat that.
Sure. The policy in North Miami Beach has been for the city clerk to handle requests for keys to the city and coordinate this with the office of the mayor. And then the mayor said that as the ceremonial head of government, he thought that she handled the request perfectly appropriately, the way she has dealt with this issue. Now, if you look at, I want to point out a couple of other things. There are quotes in the report. So setting aside the fact that two mayors asked her to coordinate this issue, setting aside the fact that two mayors asked her to coordinate the issue, here are the other people, besides the mayors, who deferred to her on key to the city issues. One's the city attorney. City Attorney Sarah Johnson, your city attorney, deputy city attorney, February 19th, 2019 at 11:07 a.m. Good morning to the commissioners, the clerk, and the city manager. From your city attorney, Sarah Johnson. Good morning. I defer to Pam regarding any North Miami Beach policy on proclamation / key to the city. Your city attorney, in a memo before the investigation was initiated. Your Sarah Johnson, quote, I defer to Pam on the issues of keys to the city and proclamations in North Miami Beach. So what is it? Why is the city attorney deferring to her if she wasn't involved in the policy? Why is the city attorney saying in a memo to commissioners and the manager that she defers to Pam on the key to the city issue if nobody knew she had any responsibility in that area, besides the two mayors who asked her to get involved in that? And who else deferred to Pam on this issue? Besides two mayors and the city attorney, who else deferred to Pam on this issue? Well, if you look at page 10, here it goes. Let me see. Okay. Another person who deferred, besides the mayors and the city attorney, another person who deferred to the city clerk on the key to the city issue was the city manager. And I'm going to quote from page 10 in the report. Quote, he, the city manager, deferred to Latimore and texted he would nix the key inquiry and wait on you as to how to proceed. So the city attorney says, I defer to Pam on the key to the city issue. And the city manager, according to this report, deferred to Pam on the key to the city inquiry. And now people want to fire her tonight because they're saying she misrepresented her role. She lied. She never had a role in the key to the city issue. So now you're going to fire her tonight. You want to fire her and allege after the fact she misrepresented her role. She never had any role in a policy as the key to the city, except for the fact that the city manager, the city attorney, and the mayors deferred to her because they know that was the truth. Now, so how fair is it to her to have mayors, city attorneys, managers defer to her on a key to the city issue, defer to her to do something, to take that responsibility for years, and then when someone is not happy, now you're going to fire her? And you're going to fire her in spite of the fact that in the past 8 years, nobody on the commission ever put an item on the agenda and objected to what she was doing. Or told her to do it differently. So you're going to tell her to do it, not object, and then fire her for doing it differently, despite the fact that you never gave her any direction or told her you didn't like what she was doing. Finally, if you look at the report, and this is my last point, and then I'm going to tell you my conclusion. And I don't mean to be passionate, but I will tell you this. I'm passionate about Pam Latimore. She's a great lady. Nobody deserves to have their reputation dragged through the mud. Nobody deserves to be brought in front of people and in this type of a situation. It's not, there's a way of treating people, valued employees. Now, I would note one more thing, and that is that if you look at this report and you go to Jack Stone's report, well, his report was incorrect anyway, so I'm not sure how much weight you're going to give, but it says, Stone found that the guidelines were created on February 16, 2016. And then he found that a document went back, creating the document back to June 6, 2014. And then if you look at page 21, they talk about an edit on 2018, an edit on June 6, 2014. This is maddening. And then it says here on page 23, This is really amazing. On page 23, there's this whole section giving the definition of proven leader. Let me read this to you. The express language of the guideline states that the key to the city can be extended to a proven leader. The word dignitaries and heads of state appear in parenthetical. The word dignitary and head of state, this is your report. The word dignitary and head of state, therefore, is not dispositive of who can receive a key to the city. And there's this whole section by a bunch of attorneys who came here from Washington about whether or not a dignitary means an elected official or doesn't mean an elected official. And that's what we're talking about tonight. And I would note that when you look at this, it's really not fair. It's really not fair, absent clear direction, to go back. It's really not fair over a minor, insignificant issue. Over a minor, insignificant issue that not one taxpayer would care about. Over something not one taxpayer would care about. You're seizing her computer. You're going through thousands of emails, looking for something, making comparisons. It's really, really unfortunate. So, Mr. Mayor, I think in the end of the day, I would say this. I'll conclude where I started. There's no question she's been an outstanding clerk. There's no question she's one of the best clerks in the state. There's no question she's never engaged in misconduct. There's no question that no one has ever suggested she has not performed her core functions under the city charter. And there's no suggestion that the people of the city don't love her and she doesn't serve them well. And there's no suggestion that she does not serve the mayor and commission well and isn't really, really dedicated. Absent the fact that there may be a difference of opinion over how she got involved in the key policy and stuff like that, those minor distinctions, they don't rise to the level of misconduct. And they don't justify destroying somebody's career and their life and their reputation and putting them in the street with no money, no health insurance for their family after they've dedicated themselves to the city. That's not the right way to do things. And you know what? That is not the North Miami Beach way of doing things. That's not how you treat your employees. I would make the following suggestion. Don't do this to this lady. Don't have her. They've already admitted that one of the things they accused of was not true. There may be other stuff. I am begging you. I'm begging you on behalf of her and her family and the residents. Do not further humiliate her for no reason and take her job away and her health insurance that she needs for herself and her family. She's dedicated. She's doing a great job. This isn't the way to do it. If the issue is the key to the city policy, you can take that up in a workshop and give her clear direction. And I've talked to Pam, and Pam told me I'm authorized to tell you, if you want to direct her tonight, never to touch a key to the city for the rest of her life, she'd be happy to do it. So my recommendation would be in all sincerity, don't do this to her. And I would urge you on behalf of her and her family, you're all good people. You're all there to do the right thing. It's been a privilege to speak in front of you. I would ask you to not take any adverse action against her. And if you're going to do anything tonight, consider the proclamation key to the city policy and give her clear direction as to what you want her to do, and she would be happy to follow that. And I hope I haven't talked too long, but it's been a privilege. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Council. Folks, thank you, but in all respect to everybody, we'll hold down the applause. Thank you. Brett? Yeah. Excuse me? Does everybody? We have a quorum, so you can go. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want to